All right, what's going on, everybody? It's your good old boy JR coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada. As always, it is a pleasure to talk to you guys on this wonderful Tuesday afternoon. So sorry for the late start. I know we were going to stay at 6, but a lot of stuff comes up sometimes. It happens, it's life. But the good thing is we're here to talk to you guys today about the Bengals and the Rams. Pick 18 and 19. We are heading our final. The Bengals are the final team to have missed the playoffs, and the Rams are the first team that we're going to talk about that made the playoffs, and unfortunately, their season came short. And I think if you were to ask fans in general before the season start who was actually going to make the playoffs and who was going to be left out, I think a lot of people would have said the Bengals would make the playoffs and the Rams would have missed the playoffs. Well, this is what happens. The NFL is such a you can predict all you want. You just don't know what's going to happen. And I think that's the beauty of it. We don't know what's going to happen until it happens. So I think it's great. And joining me today, as always, the man that has been with me now for most of these shows, for a few years now in this long process called the NFL draft. Thank God we only just do 32. Could you imagine trying to do 7 rounds? Thank goodness we only do 1 round, because don't get me wrong, we would love to do 7 rounds, but that we would have to start when the season's going, you know. And some of you guys are not even ready for some of the 4th, 5th rounders that are going to come out. You know what I mean? So, Brandon, as always, man, thank you so much for joining in, man. How are you feeling today? How's it going today?
It's one of them days.
I feel you.
Yep.
I feel you.
But I you, man.
Well, the Angels won. I mean, sure, we made the Marlins look like the Atlanta Braves for a little while there, but we're good. We're good. We're now 3-2. We're above 500 for the first time this year. Huh? Yeah.
Isn't it great at the beginning of the season because you know what the hell is about to go?
I already know what the hell's about to happen, Brandon. I already know. So that's why I'm trying to enjoy this part of the moment, because before, like a month before All-Star break, I'll be like, there it is. There's the downfall. There it is. There's my downfall. There it is, right there. You see that whole little gap right here? There it is. There it is, right there. Speaking of gaps, I think if there was a team that wants a redo at a gap, it's the Cincinnati Bengals. I think when we talked about Cincinnati in the beginning of the year, I mean, how could you have not liked Cincinnati going to the Super Bowl, right? A lot of questions in their division. Joe Burrow looks everything's clicking. If you would have looked at Cincinnati's schedule when it came out, you're like, oh my God, they can walk to the Super Bowl, because it was no threat. It was nothing like that. And it just didn't work out that way. And here's a crazy thing. They're still not a bad team. So that's just crazy to me. That's just crazy to me. But Brandon, I know Cincinnati's always a fun topic to talk about. So you ready to get this started?
Let's do it.
All right. So just remember, guys, it's double duty today. We got the Bengals first and then the Rams second. So Steve, hopefully you could join us, at least the part of who we think we're going to pick. So the Bengals, 9-8, picking number 18. They are the last team to have just missed the playoffs. Just missed it by that much. After having the 16th best offense and 21st defense. Now, here's a crazy thing. Joe Burrow only played in 10 games, but he still led the team in passing with 2,309 yards, 15 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. The way he was going. And by the way, anybody that has any questions, I get it. Is health a concern now because he's, missed 2 seasons? He's missed, the year. Yeah, of course. But when he's on it, is he not one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL too? Yes, he is. So I think that's sort of like the give and take you have to do with Joe Burrow, right? Joe Mixon, we love him. Fan favorite here at the show. 1,034 yards, 9 touchdowns, and Jamar Chase being exactly what Atlanta was trying to say about Kyle Pitts. 100 receptions, 1,216 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That, my friends, is the best hands in that draft class, bar none. I'm not gonna. I'm never. I'm gonna die on that hill, Brendan. I will die on that hill.
It's one thing to say that. It's a whole other thing to draft the damn dude and then the next pick, the best fucking receiver.
Now, here's the crazy thing.
Oh,
I know people might be looking at this. Well, what happened to Joe Burrow? Why did he only play 10 games? Well, in that beautiful 10th game, that Thursday nighter that we were all looking forward to, unfortunately, Joe Burrow, his career or his season ended that game. Mark Andrews' season looked all but over at that point. So Joe Browning has to come, or Jake Browning has to come in, and I gotta say, he did an amazing job.
Yeah.
He think of this: no pressure, bro. You just have to go in and play well enough that they don't miss Joe Burrow. And he did just enough to where it's like, man, what more could you ask for?
If you had Joe Burrow, you'd been like, we would have been in playoffs.
Yeah. So that's one. Now, this defense, I got to tell you, man, I love this defense, man. I love this Cincinnati defense. It's everywhere, man. Logan Wilson, again, he led the team in tackles with 135 combined tackles. He tied with Cam Taylor-Britt with 4 interceptions each. Brandon, you might want to cover your ears for this one. Surprise, surprise. Trey Hendricks is the sack leader again with 17 and a half. I told you, man, to cover your ears, bro. 17 and a half. You okay? You got the 1,000-yard stare right now. You all right?
Yeah, continue.
I mean, man, I can't, I went through it with.
We let him walk, and we kept Marcus Davenport. I still would never understand that fucking logic. But
let me tell you, man. Let me tell you why I was so high in him and I loved him during the draft process. Any defensive lineman that wants to play without gloves in their hand and just plays with just wrap is a crazy motherfucker, and I want him on my team.
I need that.
I need that crazy motherfucker on my team.
I had him on my team, and the craziest shit is the fact that he led the NFL in sacks that year, that he became a free agent, and the Saints were like, we're just going to let him walk. What the fuck are you doing?
And listen, here's the thing. A lot of people want to put up, I get it, the Myles Garrett. Who doesn't like Myles Garrett, right? The TJ Watts. Who doesn't like TJ Watts? The Max Crosbys. Who doesn't like Max Crosbys, right? People want to put up, people want to put up the pass rushers. This dude never gets any mention. Not one. Not one. And here's the thing. It's not like, 17 and a half. Okay, well, he just did it this year. Really? The year before that. I mean, come on. Trey Hendrickson is one of the better pass rushers in the NFL today. And I'm sorry. Listen, I get it. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett. Nick Bosa. Max Crosby is Max Crosby. TJ Watt is TJ Watt. But can we give some flowers to Trey Hendrickson, please? I know, Brandon, I know it hurts to say that right now. But he's been doing it for the Saints. He's been doing it for the Bengals. So clearly, he is just a football player. It doesn't matter what system you put him in. He is going to kill it. So can we just give this man his flowers, please? That's all I ask.
Like I said, the year that he became a free agent, he led the league in sacks, for the Saints. And we said,
it's the crazy thing. Everybody said, "Well, look at all the help that Trey Hendrickson got." Yeah, those people could kiss your theories goodbye, huh? Yeah, you can kiss those theories goodbye.
I guess. Listen, but and the crazy part is he's gotten better.
Yeah, it's his thing is still going up. He's still trying to reach that peak.
Oh my God, yeah.
I like him. I loved him coming out of FAU. I thought he was amazing, and then when he went to the Saints, I'm like, man, he's gonna kill it. I'm surprised. First of all, you guys got him for a 3rd round. You got him in the 3rd round, by the way. That's a steal, homie. That is a steal. Brandon, I know, man.
We know, like I said, when when we did the Saints picks, we sucked in the first round because we drafted Marcus Davenport.
But man, we could find the hell out of it. Trey Hendrickson.
Amazing goddamn dude in the third. It's like and we kept the goddamn dude that hadn't been on the field all fucking time. And this dude who is literally leading the league in sacks.
Yeah, no, he's a good player. He's a good player, and I hope he continues. First, I hope he continues to be healthy because everything could be taken away with one crazy injury or anything like that. But I hope he has a full career. And if he keeps going like this, I mean, that's a scary thing. He's still not good, and he's already getting 17.5. So, like, he's good, but he hasn't hit like that top peak of like, okay, this is me at my absolute best. And I don't think I ever want to see that. I don't think I ever want to see that because it's like, oh well, damn. Oh man, it's great. It's great. But I just think for the Bengals here, I think one thing can be said about this Bengals team. Unfulfilled is the word that was stuck in my head with this Bengals team today. Unfulfilled. And I mean that because it wasn't just long ago they were in a Super Bowl. And had Joe Burrow been upright for at least a millisecond more, he might have kept that drive going. If it wasn't for a bad penalty, a bad break in the AFC Championship game, the Cincinnati Bengals would have gone back to their, second Super Bowl in 2 years. I just think I think it's just unfulfilled. I think this team knows it can win. I think this team knows that it has the chance to win. But I also think the urgency for this team is now because of last year. And I think that's the best word I can describe these Cincinnati Bengals is unfulfilled. Brandon, how about you, my man?
You call it unfulfilled. I call it just a broken promise. It was a broken promise because Joe Burrow was promised that his offensive line be better, and it was not again. And so he got injured, which broke the promise to the Cincinnati Bengals fans, thinking they were going to go and possibly make it to the AFC Championship game. Let's be real. Cincinnati wins. If Joe Burrow was healthy, yeah, they were struggling in that season. They were struggling a little bit earlier last year, but during that San Francisco game, you could tell they were about to hit that pedal. And once they hit it, it was over.
Yeah, and we have a comment here. Jack Kenna, salute Jack's Wild and the nation. Jack, welcome to the show, man. Thank you for the support. Yeah, no, I like the Bengals. I think the Bengals are a good team. The Bengals are, well, what am I talking about? They're, when healthy, they're an elite team. What am I talking about, right? They're an elite team because, they have everything in place. You have everything in place, and then, you can always try to upgrade pieces here and there. But I think when the Bengals, I just feel like, man, it really just comes down to Joe Burrow's health, right? It really just comes down to his health. Yeah. And this year, I think it's going to be more imperative, and I think it's going to be a little trickier this year because, one, they did lose their offensive coordinator. He's now gone. He's become a head coach now. With, again, rightfully so, because not a lot of people can just step in. That's like, Joe Burrow going down, Josh Allen going down, Patrick Mahomes going down. Okay, you need your backup quarterback to be good. And first of all, everybody already kind of threw this kid under the water because it's like, well, the last thing he ever did wasn't even in the NFL. You know what I mean? It was
getting shut out by Alabama in college.
Exactly. So it's one of those things where I think everybody just kind of put him underwater. But again, that just goes to show you that the offensive coordinator for Cincinnati last year deserves a head coaching job because if this is what he can do with the backup, let's see what he can do with the whole team, right? I mean, let's give him a shot, right? Defensively, I think they're sound. I think the problem with the Bengals was this. They're there. They're there. It's just something has to click in order for it to work. Whether it's the Joe Burrow health, can the offensive line hold? Here's the thing. Joe Burrow right now doesn't need an elite offensive line. What he needs is just an offensive line to give up enough time. That's the crazy part, right? the Bengals may trade T. Higgins to move up to get a cheaper option, a wide receiver. I think that's a fair assumption. I see no problem with that. I think that's a fair assumption. But I also think, can you get better if T. Higgins leave? Can you get better? I think in order for this to work, I think everybody needs to be hands on deck. And I think if it doesn't work this year, then it's time to maybe it's time to look at an option.
Yeah, it's getting to the point where we're going to have to ask the question, who gets traded first, T. Higgins or Brandon Ayuk? Because I've always felt like Brandon Ayuk is going to get traded first. But
I think that's the race, right? That's the great race, right?
Yeah, it feels like Brandon Ayuk is more away from maybe signing a contract than T. Higgins is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but the Cincinnati Bengals, to me, last year, listen, yeah, if everything would have went right, we could say about every damn football team.
Right, and this is why the Bengals are here, because you're there, but something happened. You're that middle of the pack.
Which again, what has been the last couple of days when we've done these picks? Every team, it feels like you got it. It's not like it's a bad team. You just are missing something. And for the Bengals, it was very blatant what they were missing.
That's what I'm saying. So I think it's just a matter of time, and again, whether it is Brendan Ayuk, whether it is T. Higgins, I don't know. I think that's going to be something to keep an eye on, maybe as we get closer to the draft. And if not the draft, maybe closer to the trade deadline. It's.
I mean, we forget that we saw a draft literally, and we saw A.J. Brown get traded to Philly, and Hollywood Brown get traded to Arizona. Shit happens.
Oh yeah, it happens every day. Hey, listen, listen, man, it happens. The NFL, it happens, man, it happens. And then I will say this though, I think the free agency, I think it's pretty interesting in the route they wanted to go. And let's talk about the departures first. Chidobe Awuzie, I thought that was a little bit of a loss, only due to the fact that still wondering why the Saints haven't signed Renfro. I don't know either. I don't know. It's just one of those things. But to go to Chidobe Awuzie, I think that was a little bit of a loss to Cincinnati because I think what it did is, it made Drax Hill go back to his natural position, which was safety. But the thing is, he could play corner too, but I just think I like him a little bit more at safety, I just like him at safety. So he heads off to Tennessee. Jonah Williams, a longtime Bengal, he's now headed to Arizona for protection help for Kyler Murray. DJ Reader, another big loss that I don't think nobody wants to talk about, but that's a huge loss. He's now heading to Detroit of all teams. Detroit. He's heading to Detroit of all teams. So, yeah, look at that. And then Irv Smith, he's heading to Kansas City to, be the backup to Travis Kelce. But I will say this, Sheldon Rankins, who you know very much, he played for Houston last year. He's now going to be coming to Cincinnati. Geno Stone. So I think if anything, that's an imperative move to maybe move Drax Hill back to corner. Now that you got Geno Stone there. Zach Moss, obviously that was a sign because they traded away Joe Mixon to Houston. And now Zach Moss is here in Cincinnati. Mike Gesicki, the former tight end from New England and Miami, he's heading to Cincinnati, which honestly, I think it's a better fit for him. I think it's going to be a better fit for him because he did well for Miami, and then Mike Macdonald came, and Mike Macdonald doesn't like using tight ends, like that. I mean, the only way he uses a tight end is he has a George Kittle, and apparently he didn't view him as that. So that's that. And then Trent Brown, former tackle for New England, is now heading to, again, Cincinnati to try to solidify the offensive line. So overall, it's not like Cincinnati's not trying, right? And Jack, I totally agree with you too. Detroit is quietly, they've been building. I just think this free agency, I think it's like pretty sneaky of the signings they're doing because it's like, oh my God.
Why?
Like I mentioned, DJ Reader heading to Detroit. why that's not talked about is like, hey guys, Detroit, look at, it's like,
Hey. We do not. Like, we're not going to talk about Detroit. Because last year, when we were talking about Detroit, everybody else was like, well, they might not make the playoffs. They might. We don't have to talk about Detroit. Because we already know Detroit's ready. We know that. We're not going to tell people they could go to the damn Super Bowl this year. We're not going to do that.
like I said, Detroit, I can't wait to talk about them because you thought last year's team was good. Oh, watch this year's. Oh, really? Watch this year's team.
Talk about luxury pick. What the fuck? God damn it.
Oh, and they don't have to worry. They could just be like,
oh my
yeah, he looks good. Let's just take him.
I know Cameron Sutton is kind of in some trouble, but yeah, they're gonna figure that out.
They'll figure it out. They always figure it out. Yeah. So I think when we're looking at Cincinnati, I think when we're talking about Cincinnati, I think they know that the pressure is there because I think like majority of us expect them to do really well. I think we expect them to go far. But I think the one is can they stay healthy? Like every football team, can they stay healthy, right? Can the main key points stay healthy? I think if they do, honestly, I could see them back. I'm not saying maybe win the division. No, that's a tough division. That's a up for grabs division so far. But I think if they stay healthy and the defense just bounces back, and I think if the offensive key pieces just stay together and they buy in to try to maybe win a Super Bowl, I could see the Cincinnati Bengals just coming back and being like, hey, nothing changed. It's just we got unlucky last year. That's all it was. So, Brandon, your final thoughts before we make this pick for Cincinnati, before we move on to the Los Angeles Rams.
Cincinnati, good luck this year. I mean, with Joe Burrow, keep him upright. This is the third straight year since the Super Bowl that you have literally put money into the damn offensive line. One of these years, it's going to fucking click. I hope and pray that it's this year.
Yeah.
I hope and pray that it's finally this year. Good God Almighty, man! You've been putting so much money into this offensive line. A new center every year. You got a new center. Got a new tackle again. New guards. It's just like shit. Something got to click. Fuck, God damn it! Like just something's got to.
Let's see. So, Jack Kenna, who did you guys have the Raiders draft? So for 13, my partner in crime here had Nate Wiggins, and I had Michael Penix Jr. at 13. Sorry, I had to do it. Sorry. I should have warned you about the curve.
No, listen, I totally get it.
I was like, sorry. I should have told you about the curve. But overall, I'm excited for the Bengals season. I think it's going to be exciting to see how they can bounce back. See if they can bounce back. And if they do, then... so unfortunately for me, Jack, Faluga was not available because I took him. I took him at 10. No, I took him at 10. For the Jets. I took him at 10 for the Jets, I think. No, 11. I took him at 11 for the Vikings.
Yeah, Oregon State.
Okay. Yep, Oregon State. And you took him yesterday. Mm-hmm. You took him yesterday. So, Faluga was available for my partner in crime. Unfortunately, Faluga for me was not available because he went at 11 to the Minnesota Vikings. So, unfortunately, that's just how it goes. But, Brandon, it is now time. Who do you have the Cincinnati Bengals drafting in this year's 2024 NFL draft?
Wait, what pick is it? 7?
This is 18. This is 18. 18.
All right. With the 18th selection in the 2024 NFL draft, the Cincinnati Bengals will select 89 Mitchell, wide receiver, Texas. I fucked up his name so bad.
Yes, you did, but I understand who you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, I got the receiver from Texas, going to Cincinnati.
No, not the guy who ran the 4.21. No, not him. The other one. No. The other one.
The receiver one. The one that catches the ball in the end zone for Washington. God, that was an amazing fucking catch. That shit.
Yeah, the poor corner couldn't have not played that any better, and it was just like,
he played that so damn well.
And he just went.
Oh my God, that was so bad. But Yeah, I got Mitchell, man. I think he's going to end up in Cincinnati. Listen,
Okay.
I saw that defense. And I was going to take a corner here. Maybe, Toledo, maybe Alabama.
Right.
And then I was like, nah, I'm good. I don't think they really
yes,
need
he did.
a corner. I was like, I don't think they really need a corner, but even in the defensive tackle situation, Sheldon Rankins is good, but he's not a stand there and take, all the punishment defensive tackle. I could have went with, Brian Murphy, who's still on my board, or I could have went with the kid from Illinois. So I could have went a lot of places with Cincinnati, but I just looked at the receiving core and I was like, T. Higgins, we don't know if he's staying. They lost already Tyler Boyd. They don't really have a number 2, especially if T. Higgins do leave. So who the hell do they have? And it just made me feel like with Amy Mitchell, at least I know he can come in and do something. He doesn't have to be the man, and that's something that we always say. You don't have to be the man. It's very easy for you to just easily come into the league and just play. And for him to have 55 receptions, over 184 receiving yards, 11 touchdowns, average 15 yards per catch, that's Texas. Big 12. And let's be real, he had his quarterback gone from half of those games.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right.
If he would actually had a healthy quarterback, those numbers would be way higher. So now you go into the NFL and you go to Cincinnati, where you don't really have to do anything. You got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow throwing you the football. I would take that.
I mean, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and also, I don't know what the heck T. Higgins is going to do. I don't know if they're going to resign him. I don't know if he's going to get traded. I don't know. And that's too much of a shake. And I also feel like if you draft him, that's also kind of saying we can't reach an agreement with T. Higgins. So we might as well.
And that's the thing. I think if Cincinnati does go wide receiver number 1 here in the first round, then I think that's just going. I think it's just a closing point where, like, hey, T, this could be your last year, so just make it count. And if we can't reach an agreement with you, well, then we found your replacement. But I think that's a luxury pick, right? I say that respectfully because it's like I think they can find a deal. But I'm not dissing on the pick either because who doesn't want a receiver like an Adon Mitchell, right? Who doesn't want a receiver like that? Big body, red zone target. It's who wouldn't want that? And I think that's what Cincinnati was missing most of last year was big target. So that's the way I see it. Now a couple comments here. So for me, J.C. Latham went to the Jets. If Jack was doing a draft for Cincinnati for round 1, he would have taken the corner from Toledo, like you mentioned too. So that's that. For me personally, I went a lot of ways. I was really thinking about this, a little rough last night after we went off the show and I started doing the paperwork and everything. And I'm like, well, corner is available here. And I thought the same thing too. The kid from Toledo would, help, right? It would help. It would help tremendously.
And on top of that, he doesn't have to really move that far. It's Toledo, Ohio. You can just go to Cincinnati. It's not that far.
It is not that far for the kid. It's good for him, right? But then I started thinking, it's like, I think Cincinnati's spending way too much. Yeah, I could have gone the receiver route because I thought the same thing too. Cincinnati taking a wide receiver in case the T. Higgins thing doesn't work out. But then I'm just being selfish, right? Trying to give more weapons to Joe Burrow and Cincinnati. And I'm trying to fix the real problem that Cincinnati has. They're spending this money on an offensive lineman that, let's be real, it's not really working out, right? It's not working out. Then you look at Trent Brown, who's only there for a year, Orlando Brown. I don't know why you move an all-pro right tackle to left tackle. I don't get that. I never understood it, but the NFL is weird. Sorry. Me personally, I think if we're going to do this, I think we have to do this right. I think we have to do the best business decision for the Cincinnati Bengals. And we have to start looking towards the future. We have to start building this right. No more money. Let's just get these guys. Let's bring in our guys. Let's bring in our people. Let's bring in these guys to kind of fix the problem that we have instead of spending money on the free agents, right? So for me, with the 18th pick in this year's draft, I'm gonna be selecting Tyler Guyton, the offensive lineman out of Oklahoma. Look, right now he doesn't have to play right now, so which is the crazy thing, because Trent Brown and Orlando Brown, God, are gonna be on the offensive line. They're gonna be starting.
The Browns.
Yeah, just the straight up Browns are gonna be like the not the Cleveland Browns, but the Cincinnati Browns are gonna be just right there, right? Um, but no, I think if you take Tyler Guyton here, I think what you do is you could bring him in for certain situations. You could bring him in for an extra blocker. You could bring him in for some run packages, some jumbo packages that I know that they would like to run in the end zone that they couldn't. And why wouldn't you want him, right? When you think 6'7", 328, you're thinking all power, power offensive lineman, but he's more than that. He's nimble. If you see his film in Oklahoma, he is nimble. He can move for a guy that huge. And now, where's his home? I think that's the big question, right? Well, his home is whatever you want him to be. His home is, what do you want? Like, what do you want him to be? And I think for Cincinnati, I think you want him to be your right tackle. I think you want him to be your franchise right tackle, because that's majority of the problems that lies is that right tackle spot. Now, of course, the left side is no better, but the right side has really been an issue. And I just think, when you bring in a kid like Tyler Guyton, what you're saying is, all right, look, we're gonna mold him first, because he's a big boy. He's a big dude, but he's still gonna have to grow into his NFL body. So why not let him grow into that NFL body? And I think once he's ready, you plug him in, and you don't have to worry about free agency offensive lineman next year. I mean, you could try, but then all of a sudden it's like, well, we got this kid ready to go. We could just plug him in. We don't have to be committed to Trent Brown again. We don't have to be committed to that. Now, Trent Brown plays great and they give him a contract extension. Oh, great, fine, dandy, all that good stuff. But at least you got your kid ready to go when it is time for him to go. So I'm going to go with Tyler Guyton here. I like Tyler Guyton here.
I mean, I thought you would go with the kid from Georgia.
Brock Bowers? Oh, Amiris Mims?
Yeah. Amiris Mims.
I thought about it, but then I thought, man, he's already got injury issues. And the last thing that Cincinnati needs is another injury line issue, right? So, and here's the thing, the kid is going to be great. He is. It's just, I think it'll benefit him to maybe go to a team where, hey, you don't have to play right away. And I know I'm talking about Cincinnati, but the thing is, you want certainty, right? Because when offensive line get hurt like that in college, it takes a while to come back. When a big kid like that gets hurt, it takes a minute to come back. So I don't think Cincinnati's got that type of time. I think they feel the pressure. And like I said, he doesn't have to play every snap, but you could put him in for jumbo packages, passing protection, extra run yardage, So it's just one of those things where, you can have fun with him. You can mold them, build them up, all that good stuff. So I'm going to go with Tyler Guyton here, offensive lineman out of Oklahoma.
Not a bad pick. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I would say that the offensive lineman of this draft is going super quick. I mean, let's be real. Like, I mean, we took in a couple of the last couple of nights. I took in a couple because I feel like after the first three receivers, the weapons kind of get slowed up on offense. Outside of maybe quarterback, offensive weapons kind of get slowed up. And that's why I think that the offensive lineman will kick in at some point. And also, like I said, with Cincinnati, you can go defensive tackle if the kid from Illinois is still there.
Or the kid from Texas.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I literally took the kid from Texas yesterday. So it's not a realm out of the possibility. You know what I mean? Like, if you really feel like you need to replace a DJ Reader, then go ahead. Byron Murphy. The kid from Illinois, Johnny Newton. Go nuts, bro. Go nuts.
Yeah, like you don't know what Shadow Rankins. Some years he's great, and some years he's not. You don't know. So to replace a DJ Reader in the middle of that line.
You need to know. That's the thing, right?
You need complete utter shorts, like
yeah.
Like, yes.
No, I get you. I get that. I just feel like at this point, the better prospect to me was Tyler Guyton over the kid from Illinois.
Yeah, I mean, in the same thing with my pick, I was just like, I'm looking at this receiving core, and I'm like, man, if T. Higgins leaves, who the fuck does he throw the ball to? Like outside of
He's got Jamar Chase, Mike Gesicki.
After T. Higgins leaves,
and you know what? It's so weird to people don't realize how valuable Tyler Boyd was to that team. He was an extra security assurance.
He was.
So the fact that and here's the thing, Tyler Boyd can easily be a number 2 wide receiver in the NFL.
Easily.
So, God bless him. God bless him, man, because I don't know what team picked him up. I don't know. Did he find a team? I'm trying to remember if he found a team or not. But if somebody signed him, God bless him, because you got an amazing wide receiver. Let's put it that way.
And you got to realize, Tyler Boyd was drafted by Cincinnati first, and he had to watch T. Higgins get drafted.
Yeah, watch Jamar Chase get drafted. So if T. Higgins feels disrespected, what does Tyler Boyd feel? So, no, I like it. I like the pick, though. So just to recap, Brandon, you went with who'd you go with again? I'm so sorry.
Mitchell.
You went with Adon Mitchell, the wide receiver out of Texas, and I went with Tyler Guyton, offensive lineman out of Oklahoma. Big 12. Here we go. Big 12 making noise. Woo, woo. The Big 12.
Big 12/SEC now.
Yeah, the Big 12/SEC.
/SEC now.
It's like the Big 10 / Pac-2. Okay? / Pac-2. So, yeah. All right, here we go. We're finally get to the point of the draft where we're talking about teams that made the playoffs. Here's team number 1. Yeah, here's team number 1. The Los Angeles Rams. Same thing with Cincinnati. I think if you talk to the Rams, if you talk to NFL fans, there's a lot of people that would have said, man, the Rams, they look pretty rough, man. It looks pretty tough. And it's going to be an uphill climb. And boy, did they conquer that hill. 10-7, 8th best offense, and 19th best defense. Now, Matthew Stafford doing what Matthew Stafford does, 3,965 yards, 24 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Sean McVay finally found his running back. Kyron Williams, 1,144 yards, 12 touchdowns. And Sean McVay found his Cooper Kupp replacement, Puka Nacua, with 105 receptions, 1,486 yards, and 6 touchdowns. Now, all of this is nice and everything. And I think there's one thing to be said about this is that thank God Matthew Stafford was healthy this year, because that's what really it is. Matthew Stafford stayed healthy. Matthew Stafford had a wonderful year. The Rams had a wonderful year. It's just, it ended. We got our wish. A wild card matchup between the Los Angeles Rams and the Detroit Lions. We wanted that matchup for at least 2 years now.
We wanted that like last year. We're like, yo, if this happened in the playoffs, we caught it. We fucking caught it. We caught it.
When it finally happened, I think I video messaged you and I said, yo, I got to tell you, man, that intro to that game gave me chills, man. That was like the first time, I've seen playoff atmospheres in certain arenas. I wouldn't know what to expect when the Lions had home field advantage for the playoffs. And yeah, that was pretty much everything that I wanted to see. Yeah, they're there. They're ready. This was, I think, the craziest way, because you can't write that. The team that traded you, Detroit loved Matthew Stafford, but they knew they had to give him a shot at a ring. So they traded him to the Rams. The Rams said, we don't want Jared Goff. We don't think he's it. So we're going to give him to Detroit. Here's the thing. We're going to give the Detroit Lions a couple first rounders and Jared Goff. I can only imagine Jared Goff's confidence was just, at that point. Dan Campbell has done an amazing job with this Detroit Lions team, but we're not talking about Detroit today. The Los Angeles.
We can literally keep going. I'm about to jump in and say, yeah, Detroit is as great as you think they are.
They are it. But the Los Angeles Rams proved, man, everything finally clicked for Sean McVay. Everything finally clicked, right? And then you look at their defense. Ernest Jones with 145 combined tackles. Kobe Turner, by the way, Defensive Rookie of the Year nominee, finished with 9 sacks. And Jordan Fuller and Ahkello Witherspoon finished the season with 3 interceptions. Brandon, why did this season for the Los Angeles Rams turn out better than a lot of experts said it was not going to be?
I think, one, we didn't have high hopes from.
I certainly did not. I sure did not.
Yeah, we did not expect that. I think that the Rams kind of played with the house money, pretty much, because nobody expected them to be good this past season. Not us.
By the way, it is so nice to talk about the Los Angeles Rams in the first round.
It really is.
Like,
if we gotta be drafting for the Rams, we talk about it. We just don't draft.
We just don't draft for them because Les Snead and Stan Kroenke always say, "Man, fuck them picks. Man, fuck them picks." So it's probably nice to talk about the Los Angeles Rams, and actually making a pick for them. It's so nice.
But it's kind of interesting because the Rams was a team that, like you said, we kind of came into the season being like, they don't have a running game. Like, what the hell are you doing with Cam Akers? You should just trade him. They don't have a running game. We don't know what the hell his offensive line is going to look like. We didn't know what this offensive line was going to look like. Cooper Kupp, it looked like you just overpaid for somebody that gets injured now more than he's actually on the field.
Now, to be fair, he did have a nice year.
He did.
He did have, but I think when we're talking about Cooper Kupp, and this is the thing I always get into, not arguments, but always little debates with my friends. Like, well, Cooper Kupp's the top 5 wide receiver. No, he's not. Well, what are we going to forget that he had the season he had like 3 years ago? Yeah, because what has he done since then?
On the injury reserve.
So again, do I like Cooper Kupp? Yeah, I like Cooper Kupp, but top 5? Nah.
And it proved this season when you found somebody that could be better than him. Puka Nacua is better than Cooper Kupp. He is. I know you don't want to hear it, but it's true. And when you got somebody that can replace him, the offense didn't miss a beat.
They did not.
Actually got better. And then the other side of the football, which was defense, we literally looked at each other like, so all they got is Aaron Donald? That's literally what we thought most of the season.
Like, this is for real, right?
It's like, all they got is Aaron Donald? What is this defense? What is it going to be like? And they still found a way to win games with that defense. And it's just, I feel like the Rams played with house money all year long. Nobody expected them to get to the playoffs. Nobody expected them to be good. Nobody expected them to even be in a conversation to possibly win the division at one point. I mean, they were leading the division at one point. People forget that shit. That actually happened. They were leading.
It was there. It was truly there.
So,
now, here's my thing, though. First of all, I think the one thing that really reignited the Rams team, is the Steelers trading away.
Tomorrow.
Sorry. What ignited? Well, no, and the reason I bring up the Steelers is the Steelers traded away their best offensive lineman to the Rams because the Steelers don't know what to do. That's the first thing. Second of all, the emergence of Kyron Williams, I say, is the second part. Puka Nacua is nice. That's a nice story. And he deserves all the credit. But really, what it is this offensive line played higher than expectations, wanted to prevent, right? And now here's the crazy thing about it. They're still trying to figure it out, right? They're still trying to figure it out. So, and what do I mean by that? Well, when you look at the free agencies, look, Coleman Shelton, he's now headed to Chicago. Jonah Williams, not the defensive lineman from Cincinnati, but the other Jonah Williams, defensive end, he's now headed to Minnesota. Tyrone Antrim, he's now headed to Seattle, the guard. And Jordan Fuller, who led the team in interceptions, who tied the team with interceptions, is now heading to Carolina. God, it seems like everybody's heading to Carolina. What is Carolina pitching to them?
Hey, you come be the fourth best team in the division of the shittiest teams in there.
But this is where I think it gets crazy. This is where I think it gets crazy for the Rams. They finally have enough cap space to do some moves. You re-sign Kevin Dotson. Because remember, at one point, we thought Kevin Dotson was going to walk. And they re-signed him. And then you double up by getting Jonah Jackson from Detroit.
They saw what he was doing to that defense. Was like, we need to get that shit on our side.
And like, we need help.
we need to get that.
And you know what? It actually works because they drafted Steve Avila, the center from TCU last year. They moved him to guard because they had their center. Now he goes back to his natural position at center. So now guess what? Your interior? Oh, it's good. And then you still got your right tackle and left tackle from last year. So guess what? Nothing changed except Jonah Jackson, who a former Pro Bowler, was the reason why the Detroit Lions was one of the main cogs in the Detroit Lions offensive line that worked. And then on top of that, you get Darius Williams and Tre'Davious White, the cornerbacks from Jacksonville and Buffalo. You get them to be, your new 1-2. And then just as insurance purposes, you got Jimmy G. Now, the thing is, he suspended the first 2 games because, man, I'm just going to call it, all right? Because, listen, being in Vegas, I'm just going to call it, man. You know that little Rhino pill at the gas station? Yeah, that's not NFL or FDA approved, bro. Sorry.
Jimmy G's having fun in Vegas. That's what it sounds like to me.
Listen, man, you'll know when you come here, bro. It's temptation is everywhere, motherfucker. Temptation is everywhere, motherfucker. So, I think to me,
couple weeks.
Yes, so it's only there. It's only there. But you did get my message, by the way, right? About the airport and everything, Harry Reid? Okay, cool. Got it. Okay, now, I think overall, the Rams are in a position now where you weren't supposed to be good this year. Now, they can't go backwards. And by the way they're signing, and by the way people are getting healthy, and by the way the teams are and by their actions, they're not going to go backwards. They're only going to go forward here. And right now, there is a wounded animal in your division with broken hearts that you can just stomp on and take advantage, because vulnerability is a motherfucker in human emotions. Whether it's professional sports or in real world, vulnerability is a motherfucker. I like what the Rams are doing, and I think they're only going to get better from here. That's the way I see it. Brandon, your final thoughts before we head into the picking for the Los Angeles Rams here.
I think the Rams, like you said, they can't go backwards. I mean, this is. I hate to say it because it feels like if I say it, then it might not actually happen. But it's their division to lose. Let me go ahead and say it. Yeah, I'm gonna say it.
Hey, I'm not willing to go that far because San Francisco's still there. Seattle, they could bounce back. I don't know. But I'm not going to say it's their division to lose. Their division to lose is like Jacksonville.
I would say, no, the reason I said it is that division to lose. And I know. The Rams is not beating the San Francisco 49ers in regular season play.
Well, they beat them last year, but let's be real.
Literally the last game of the season. Nobody's playing that game. Carson Wentz won that game. You know they don't give a shit. You already knew San Francisco did not give a shit about that football game. But it's yes, I know it's hard to sit there and say that it's their division to lose, but when you look at San Francisco, they might have to trade Brandon Ayuk. It's only so much that they can handle when it comes to how much does Brock Purdy really actually do conversation. And George Kittle's getting up there in age. And Deebo Samuel can only do so much before his age starts to show up and injuries start to catch up with him. And same thing with Trent Williams. So that's why I kind of look at it and say, is that division lose? The only team I can see kind of maybe giving them some problems, to be honest, is Arizona, which sounds absolutely fucking nuts. But I do believe Arizona is going to be actually good this year. The way they've been moving, they went from literally saying, fuck everybody that's good on this team, we're going to trade them all, to being like, oh, they're competitive. They're competitive.
Yeah.
They care.
Yeah, you're right.
They're competitive. Yeah, I saw that. Their name was Houston. I saw it. Like, I saw that. Their name was Houston. So it's so when you believe in the head coach, you kind of like, nah, I kind of believe in this. So the Rams are a very interesting team because they shouldn't be a bad team this year. But again, like we say all the time, we're always a year late. We don't fucking know.
Right.
And the elephant in the room is the fact that you just lost the only defensive player that can literally.
That's the next thing. You had Aaron Donald retired.
The only person on that team that could really change the game for you, he's gone. Out the clear blue sky. That nobody knew he was about to retire.
And here's the thing. People are going to be like, do you think he come? No. I think Aaron Donald made.
It's like
here's the thing.
Like
he thought about it. He went with full mind and full heart, and he said, I've given everything I could to this franchise. And I'm okay. And here's the thing. Not because I'm not a fan of the Rams. It sucks to see Aaron Donald leave, right?
It does. It does.
And, we're fans. We're going to keep watching. And in 5 years, 6 years, we're going to see him get inducted into the Hall of Fame. And then it's going to bring that little sorrow of, oh, man, I remember, like, we need to. And but I truly am happy for him that, one, he gets to leave on his terms. I can't tell you how many great defensive linemen I've seen, defensive players I've seen that don't get to leave on their own terms. Yeah. He got to leave on his own terms. He was the best defensive tackle the minute he hit the field.
By far.
So when he got drafted, it was like, man, is he the next Warren Sapp? Now what are we hearing? Can he be the next Aaron Donald? Can he be? When you get that type of compliment during draft process, you made it. And I'm glad that he gets to leave on his own terms. He did everything he needed to do. He's won Defensive Player of the Year. He's been All Pro. He's been All NFL. He did everything what you expected him to do from A to Z in your career. He's got his Super Bowl ring, and he won it at home. He won it his home field. You say what you want about Aaron Donald, that, he doesn't have more sacks than homeboy from Minnesota, or he's not better than Warren Sapp. Say what you want. Fine, because that's your opinion. But let me ask you this. Did John Randall and Warren Sapp leave on their own terms?
Did they ever win a ring?
Warren got one.
Yeah, Tampa. But that defense that they had that year in Tampa.
So I could say with an open heart that, yeah, I'm going to miss Aaron Donald. I am, because it was fun to watch him. It's fun. It's fun to watch players like that, because it's like that's what the NFL is. That's like, okay, you want to know how to be a defensive lineman in this league? There you go. That's what you got to do. What's up, man? What's up, man? But no, I'm very happy that Aaron Donald at least got to leave on his own terms, and at least with a heavy heart in mind, to where it's like he felt, and his comments were in a way saying, I'm okay stepping away because I did everything I needed to do. There's nothing more I have to prove to you guys.
Yeah. I think also what people don't understand about that is he was actually going to retire after the Super Bowl. He gave you like 2 extra years.
And he still dominated. Usually when people have retirement on their minds, they don't dominate like that. And he still dominated.
And he was starting to kind of get injured a little bit more and more. So I can understand why he was like, yeah, time to go.
Yeah, I the true definition of not just a big defensive player, just a definition of what it means to be an NFL player. That's the definition of an NFL
He was
player.
the definition of a game changer of this era.
So,
'Cause when
congratulations to him. So Canton come to Collins. But if he doubts that he's not going to Canton because he retired early, okay, sure. I'll see you in 6 years. I'll see you in 6 years. Write me a letter. Write me a letter. I'll see you in 6 years. So, all right, Brendan, it's go time, man. Who do the Rams draft at number 19 here?
With the number 19 pick in the 2024 NFL draft, the Los Angeles Rams will select. Come on, Brian Murphy Jr., defensive tackle.
Yeah.
It just has to happen, right? Like, it feels like it needs to happen, right? If he falls this far, which is the key. If he falls this
That's
far.
the key, because, again, he's such a good player that's the key.
We don't know. A lot of these teams could shake it up and be like, no, I kind of do need a defensive tackle now. Like, what the? Like, we don't know. But Brian Murphy Jr., everything you said about him last night is true. This man can come in and do what he needs to do. Now, one thing I would hate is the fact that he's going to automatically be compared to Aaron Donald. He's a defensive tackle. He's not as big as a lot of defensive tackles are. So automatically it's like, well, he could kind of, no, don't do that.
You can't, again, it's like we talk about, you can't replace players like Aaron Donald.
You can't replace Aaron Donald. You can try to fit those shoes, but it's a bad thing. It's like Mac Jones coming in to replace Tom Brady. It's like, like.
Or Terrell Owens, you have to now carry the torch because Jerry Rice left, and Terrell Owens left. Like,
come in and try to replace somebody that from the moment they stepped on the football field was the most dominant fucking player on the football field. It's hard to replace that shit. But they're going to have to try. And I think that Brian Murphy Jr., if you can just do half of what Aaron Donald did, you're good.
Yeah, I don't think nobody would expect him to come in and it's like, okay, you got to be the main. No. And here's the thing. He doesn't have to do it alone because Kobe Turner is there. So.
And that's why I feel like where the Rams need 19, it's right there, right before you have to get to the places where the luxury picks start to kick in, and teams really don't need anyone, but they could just take someone just in case something happens. The Rams kind of need a defensive tackle because the retirement came out of nowhere. Maybe they knew, I don't know, but they didn't sign anything to assume they knew that Aaron Donald was just like, yeah, I'm done. I'm out.
Unless they really feel like Kobe Turner is going to just pick up the slack at that point, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing. I feel like you got to at least try to get something. And, like, again, you don't have to play Brian Murphy Jr. every fucking play. That's crazy. Like, they got to, like the Saints did with Brzee last year. Certain packages, you get out there and you play. We got to just see how you will react to the situation. And plus, with a new defensive coordinator as at the helm for the Rams, it's going to be pretty interesting to see how this team is going to react to this. But I think Brian Murphy Jr. will fit perfectly with the Rams at 19.
Could you imagine if he turned out to – it's like, oh, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear what the Rams – like, dude, you had Aaron Donald and Brian Murphy for all those times.
I don't want to hear if that happens, if the Rams just hit on two defensive tackles, legendary – 10-year veterans that goes to Pro Bowls every fucking year, I'll be like, fuck the Rams. I do not.
It's like the same thing we say about the Packers with the quarterback situation. Like, fuck you. You don't know what a bad quarterback is because for at least a 30-plus years, you know who your starter was. So fuck off. All right?
What are you talking about?
Like, fuck off. All right? So I like the pick. And like I mentioned, I talked about him yesterday because I had him yesterday. You look at the numbers, it's not going to be wow numbers, right? But what he does have is a high motor and a go-get attitude, go-get-it attitude. And that helps a long way. And like you mentioned, they don't have to play him right away because, again, Kobe Turner's there. They can try to maneuver, see what you can do for him, and then go from there. I like the pick. So, I mean, that would be an amazing pickup for the Los Angeles Rams. So, for me, well, I can't go Brian Murphy. I can't because he's gone.
He's on the plane.
Yeah, he's on a plane. Yeah, he's gone. What I can do is do the same thing that you did, go defensive line as well, but in another direction. So with the 19th pick in this year's draft, the Los Angeles Rams select Jared Verse, defensive end, FSU. Um, I know it's crazy to say that. Why a defensive end, right? Because you need one. You do need one. You know, you need to find a way to get some beef. You need to get some mass there now that Donald is gone. That's a huge loss. You need some mass in there. And Jared Reverse at 6'4", 260 pounds, he can help you with that. You know, he has been a two-time first-team All-American in 22 and 23. He was a two-time first-team All-ACC 22 and 23. He before he transferred to FSU, he played in Albany, New York. Second team All CAA, first team All CAA, and CAA Defensive Player of the Year. So he's had success everywhere he goes. I have no doubt in my mind that he come to the NFL, and you can actually plug him right away to be your mass dude at one of the edges. You know, because now that the new defensive coordinator you got is going to be running a 3-4 majority of the time, you need some mass now that Aaron Donald is gone. And Jared Verse is right there. And he's still athletic. Back-to-back years with 9 sacks. This year with 41 tackles. Combined, 1 forced fumble and 1 fumble recovery. He can play. And I know a lot of people are going to be looking at it. Well, it's because, you know, Brandon Fisk. Don't get me wrong. Brandon Fisk is good, but Kobe Turner's there too. And last I checked, Kobe Turner has an NFL experience already. And he handled it pretty well. So, again, what are we talking about? Like, what are we talking about here, right? I like the pick. You know, I think Jared Verse here would be an instant starter for the Los Angeles Rams. I think he could plug in right away. You could play him and then just go from there. You get your mass, you get your run stuffer that you want to get that mass going and to make sure guys like Kobe Turner, guys like Jones, everybody can get off the edge and just get after the quarterback, which they did pretty well. And now the thing is, because of the new switch of the defensive coordinator, this is more of a scheme fit than it is a player pick. But I like the scheme fit here for the Los Angeles Rams, so I'm going to go Jared Verse here.
Yeah, who would have thought that Jared Verse would be the third pass rusher taken off?
If you would have asked last year, I think a lot of people would have been like, "Oh man, he has the potential to be the best."
He's the fourth best pass rusher taken off the board because he took Leayu.
I took Laiatu a couple nights ago. I took Chop Robinson, and I already took Dallas Turner, so he's the fourth edge. Yeah.
Yeah. I took 2 already. Dallas Turner and Chop Robinson. But it's like, yeah. I mean, a lot of people about to be like, a year ago, Jared Verse is like the number 1 pass rusher off the board. Now it's like 4th, maybe 5th, maybe 6th.
It's just weird. It's just, a lot can happen in a year. A lot can happen in a year.
Missouri still.
Yeah, there is the kid from Missouri. You're right. There is the kid from Missouri.
It's like it's a crazy thing to sit down and be like, damn, Jared Verse could be like the 5th, 6th pass rusher off the fucking board at some point. It can happen. It can fucking happen. Like it's. Now I like the pick. I think that the Rams need. We do agree on this. They need pass rush.
They do. They do.
Defensive linemen, they need something on that front 4 because if something happens, oh shit, all hell breaks loose.
And that's the key, right? That's why I didn't want to put the Rams division to lose. Well, I want to go that far. But I will say this: they have the chance to do some pretty funny things next year.
I swear, if the Rams go backwards, I'll be like,
guys,
you didn't do that last year. I'll be like, fuck, you didn't do that last year. I would have been right.
Like, he's gonna be like that kid from South Park, just like real quick though. Like, but no, I just think, Jared Verse here. I like Jared Verse. And don't get me wrong, Byron Murphy, come on. Come on. I just think if Byron Murphy's gone, and let's say the other pass rushers are gone, like we assume they are, right? I don't think Jared Verse here would be such a bad deal. I don't think it would be such a bad deal. So I'm gonna go with Jared Verse here. I just think he fits what the Los Angeles Rams are trying to do now, schematically, defensively. So that's it. So just to recap here, Brandon went with the wide receiver from Texas, Adon Mitchell. I went with Tyler Guyton for Oklahoma for the Bengals. And then I went Jared Verse for the Rams, and he went Byron Murphy. So we're getting to the nitty-gritty things, folks. So tomorrow, we have done 19 picks, and we've only had one pick. One agreement. One. And do you remember who that was? Dallas Turner. Number 8 to Atlanta. Like, yo, Atlanta needs a pass rusher. Dallas Turner. Bam! Wow. Yeah, no. Yeah, one agreement. But I think that's the beauty of it. Because now people get to see, like, listen, not everybody thinks alike. It's just this is what it is. This is what it is. So it's fun. But tomorrow we got 2 more picks, and then we're off Thursday, Friday, and then we'll be back Saturday. So tomorrow it is the Steelers and it is the Dolphins. How to talk about what's the best way to describe these 2 teams tomorrow?
Oh God, I gotta think. Holy shit.
The best way I can describe it is you have one team that's trying everything in their power to get it right, and you have another one that's just off the fucking rails sometimes. I don't even fucking know. And you think when I'm talking about teams that are off the rails, you think I'm talking about the Pittsburgh Steelers. No, I'm talking about the Miami Dolphins. They're off the rails.
What team are you talking about?
I'm talking about the Miami Dolphins. Like the Steelers, it's like I can see why they did what they did, but then I look at the Miami Dolphins, I'm like, you guys are off the fucking rails here. And like, we'll talk about that tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow because tomorrow's going to be a very interesting topic. But today, it was all fun. We're on tomorrow, same time as usual, 6 p.m. I'm gonna stop saying we'll be up at 6 because I don't even know anymore.
We have no idea.
We're gonna shoot for 6.
Catch us when you see us. That's what the fuck we got.
Yeah, that's how we're gonna say it. Catch us when you see us. And if you don't see us live, we'll just replay the video and just watch it there. All right, and then we'll catch you guys some other time or some shit. We'll see you guys later. We're tired of giving you guys time because apparently we can't keep shit. So we'll see. But Brandon, as always, Brandon, it's awesome talking to you, my man. You have a wonderful night.
You too, man.
Thank you. I will see you tomorrow. We'll talk about the Steelers and the Dolphins tomorrow, and then we'll move on from there. And then we'll go from there. But until then, everybody, thank you so much for the wonderful comments. Jack, as always, thank you so much for the support. Everybody else that tuned in today will tune in later. Thank you for the wonderful support. We will see you guys tomorrow. Steelers country. Dolphin fans, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Have fun. Oh, before I did forget, I did actually have one comment. There was one comment that was left to us on our page, including the Jaguars yesterday. Thinking that Mac Jones is going to take over Trevor Lawrence has to be the cringiest shit I've seen all day. And we have President Biden, and we have Biden as our president. First thing, leave politics out of our sports page, please. I'm not into that shit. I could care less. Okay, I could care less. But I want you to hold that energy.
Sometimes we have to talk about it, but that's only because, it gets put into sports. We don't like to,
Yeah, when it comes to politics, please keep it out of here. I don't care. I don't care. People were doing a big fuss. Again, and I'm only going to say it like this. People were doing a big fuss yesterday that the LSU basketball team was not out there. Did you guys have a problem when Iowa and Michigan played for the Big Ten championship and neither football team was out there? Yeah, exactly. That silence I heard is exactly the silence I heard in the comment section after I posted that. So please keep politics out of our freaking page, please, because guess what? Me and this guy, we do not care because like we said it before. Anybody that leans towards the right, anybody that leans towards the left, you guys are both butt fuck crazy. Like, you guys are fucking nuts of what you think the country should be. And me personally, I'd rather get circumcised again than to vote in my life. I don't have a lot of foreskin left, but I will give it up if you guys just leave politics out of my fucking page. Please, please, for the love of God. Hopefully that doesn't get our YouTube channel disappointed or disconnected. So until then, Brandon, I'll see you tomorrow, man.
By the way, Trevor Lawrence still is not going to keep that job.
Don't worry. Let the man think that Trevor Lawrence is going to keep the job. But when Mac Jones takes over, I will go back into that comment and be like,
on top of that, and then when you start cheering for Mac Jones because you're winning, don't come on our page and be like, well, shut the fuck up.
We told you back in April. Shut up. Shut up. This is exactly what's going to happen. I don't want to hear it. But until then, Brandon, I'll see you tomorrow. If I'm still alive, if the FBI is not looking into my data right now, I will see you tomorrow. Until then, Brandon, you have a wonderful night, man. I will see you tomorrow. Everybody, pray for me. Peace. May God have mercy on my soul.